Today I'm going to discuss the WTO Appellate body and my personal perspectives. During my posting at the Permanent Mission of Thailand to the World Trade Organization in Geneva from 2011 to 2015, dealing with dispute settlement mechanism, I had two opportunities to attend appellate body hearings as a member of the Thai delegation in the capacity of third participant, in which I gladly took. My first attendance was for the Philippines taxes on distilled spirit case, DS 396 and DS 403. The dispute was related to the Philippines excise tax regime, which was in place since 1997. As a consequence, the Philippines imposed taxation on imported distilled spirit at a substantially higher rate than domestic products. The EU and United States were the complainants in the case. The Philippines lost the case at the panel stage, but appealed on issues of law. The division that handled the appeal was headed by Jennifer Hillman from the US. There was a high degree of spontaneity in the hearing. At times, there were light-hearted moments. For instance, when a member of the Philippines legal team was trying to make a point that the Philippines spirit sugar-based tastes differently from the imported wheat-based spirit. According to him, the local spirits taste sharply to the tongue, and therefore consumers can easily tell the difference, that they are not the like products. The case was a rather straightforward question on national treatment, in which WTO law and jurisprudence have been very clear. No discrimination is allowed under WTO law. The appellate body upheld the panel's ruling. On 20 January 2012, the dispute settlement body adopted the report of the appellate body without hesitation. At the next DSB meeting on 22 February 2012, the head of the Philippines delegation, sitting just a few feet away from me, stated categorically the intention to comply with the ruling, but asked for a reasonable period of time to comply. The US and EU welcomed Philippines' compliance intention and pledged to work with the Philippines to find an acceptable time frame. The second case that I attended at the appellate stage was a US tuna measures concerning the importation, marketing, and sale of tuna and tuna products, DS 381. This was an interesting case. The US lost the case at the panel's stage. Interestingly, the panel did not reach consensus on all the issues at dispute, even though they ruled in favor of Mexico. The US, taking cue from the minority, appealed on issues of law, requesting the appellate body to reverse the panel's finding. The appeal process was interesting from the start. U.S. Ambassador Michael Punk wrote to the presiding member of the appellate body requesting for the scheduling of the oral hearing in the week of February 19, 2012, because fixing the date after that would prejudice U.S. participation in the hearing due to the fact that one of the U.S. lead attorneys would be unable to travel to Geneva for medical reasons relating to her pregnancy. In the end, however, the appellate body fixed the date of hearing on 15 to 16 March 2012, meaning that the U.S. had to find a substitute lawyer to handle the case. The division which handled the case was headed by Madame Ye Jiaozhang from China. Other members were Mr. Thomas Graham from the U.S. and Mr. Ujjal Singh. This case was more complex. It was a trade versus environment issue, although WTO law, particularly the preamble of Marrakesh Agreement establishing WTO in 1995, states clearly that members maintain power to pursue their policy objectives to protect environment for sustainable development. However, trying to strike a fine balance between free trade and protecting environment has never been easy. The tuna case main argument was about whether the U.S. dolphin safe labeling provisions that govern the labeling of dolphin safe constitute technical regulations or merely standards under WTO law. The U.S. argued that the legal provisions in question were not technical regulations because their compliance is not mandatory. The U.S. provisions are meant to ensure that its market is not used to encourage the use of fishing techniques that harm dolphins. The U.S. argued further that even without dolphin safe labeling, Mexico's tuna could still be sold. In the U.S., Mexico countered that the U.S. measures have been unnecessary and are completely arbitrary. To support its legal argument that such U.S. provisions are technical regulations which are inconsistent with WTO law, Mexico cited earlier WTO jurisprudence, EC sardines and EC asbestos. In the end, the U.S. lost the case again at the appellate stage. On the whole, I think that WTO law suffers from textual ambiguity, just like the language of Article 190 of the repealed Thai Constitution BE 2550, which deals with treaty-making process in Thailand. For instance, the issue in tuna case is whether the U.S. provisions are more trade restrictive than necessary. Defining the test for necessity is not an easy task. This type of language has a lot of built-in subjectivity. Likewise, in the context of Thailand, to consider whether a treaty has provisions which affect trade significantly under Article 190, paragraph 3 or not is a subject of constant debate. After seeing the appellate body in action twice, I have to say that I am impressed with their high standard of professionalism. No doubt they are efficiently backed up by the Secretariat, but the spontaneity during the hearing requires breadth and depth of WTO law and high diplomatic skills on the part of appellate body members. Because panels and the appellate body are the quasi-judicial bodies, the nature of their oral hearing is not the same as domestic courts hearing. The atmosphere is more relaxing. The presence of third participants also gives the impression that the hearing is like a normal WTO meeting in progress. Now, the question is, should Thailand nominate qualified persons to be selected as a member of appellate body? Definitely Thailand should do so. After all, Thailand is one of the key players in the dispute settlement mechanism of the WTO. Thailand's strength is its image of being a country that takes a middle ground approach to major issues of international trade. My stint in Geneva has taught me very clearly that politics plays a major part in trade negotiations. The North-South approach to trade issues sometimes makes it difficult for WTO members to agree on anything, on any issue. In addition to dispute settlement, I also handled the development issue. As a result, I attended the Committee on Trade and Development meetings, or the CTD meetings, on a regular basis. I found that the CTD is highly politicized. Even inscribing issues on the agenda is problematic. The chair usually has to hold a few informal consultations with the members on agenda setting, reflecting a high degree of divisiveness among membership. Another reason why Thailand and/or ASEAN should field a suitable candidate for the election of appellate body members is to make the composition more represented among membership. After the election of Mr. Bhatia from India into the appellate body in December 2011, the trend is very clear that major trading nations are trying to hold onto the seat. The appellate body now looks more similar to the UN Security Council. Of the 7 current members, there are nationals of the following countries or groupings serving on the appellate body: USA, India, China, South Korea, EU, Mexico, and Mauritius. There is a need to maintain the right balance between having nationals of developed and developing countries in the membership of the appellate body. In order to be successful in the membership selection of the appellate body, I think Thailand may have to follow a dual-track approach. The sooner we start, the better. The first action is to raise Thailand's profile in WTO dispute settlement mechanism. Reflecting on Thailand's past role, I believe that we have done a good job. So we just need to keep the momentum going, such as joining in disputes as third party as and when necessary, and participate actively in the DSU review. The second track is to groom our international trade lawyers so that they will be able to compete for important appointments at major international organizations. My feeling is that Japan is far ahead in this regard, and South Korea is actively following suit. Korea has been sending high caliber delegates from the capital to DSU review negotiations on a regular basis. A few of them are drawn from the academic field with impressive track record. At this level of competition, the best way to add value to a candidate's profile is to publish works of high quality on issues of international trade law. I think we have to encourage our Thai experts to publish their works in leading journals as often as possible. From my observation, among the present member of the Appellate body, one holds PhD, Peter Van den Bosch. A few hold master degrees, Ye Zhang, Ricardo Hernandez, Sri Babu, Chektian, Savan Singh, and Ujjar Singh Bhatia, and one holds a JD Thomas Graham. Education background of Appellate body members is varied. The only pattern that I can draw a conclusion from is that most of them hold advanced degrees, but a degree by itself, even if it is a PhD, is only a marginal gain if it is not backed up by a large body of published work or high level of practice or distinguished government career. To reflect the recognized authority of a candidate in the field, the present composition of the WTO appellate body reflects such a statement. Another point that I have observed is that some of the candidates for the selection of appellate body member may have previous experiences as panelists. I think this is a good personal qualification. If any candidate is blessed with opportunities to serve on panels, he or she may have a head start in the selection process, but it could work against the candidate as well, particularly if he is deemed to have taken a position considered harmful to trading interests of powerful WTO members. If a candidate is vetoed or rejected by those members, his chance is doomed. In my opinion, having previous experiences as WTO adjudicator or panelist is beneficial but not necessary. In fact, citizens of countries that feature often in the WTO dispute settlement process may not have opportunities to serve as panelists at all because of the potential conflict of interest. I have the feeling that the selection committee, when selecting a person to serve on the appellate body, will look for someone who is constantly mindful of the role of WTO adjudicators, that their role is first and foremost to settle the dispute. They are not expected to engage in lawmaking or judicial activism, but to interpret WTO law in a balanced way, taking into account members' rights and obligations. This is because WTO is a member-driven organization. Making law is exclusively within the prerogative power of the WTO members. The dispute settlement mechanism cannot add to or subtract from members' rights and obligations. The jurisprudence is to help achieve the security and predictability of the system only. Although in theory there are only 6 chairpersons of major WTO committees, including the Director General, who will cast their votes in the selection process. But as WTO is a member-driven organization, the selection committee will have to listen to the views of members. Therefore, building a wide network of support is critical or crucial to the success of the campaign for those who aspire to be members of the appellate body. In conclusion, my participation in DSB meetings and appellate body hearings has reaffirmed my understanding that the WTO dispute settlement system has been a remarkable success. Until today, it is one of the most used systems in the world, and the trend is likely to continue for the years to come. Thank you. Bye-bye.